Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about something every man will experience in dating, whether he realizes it or not. You're not imagining things if you've ever felt like a woman was acting distant, testing your patience or challenging your decisions. Women always test men, and they do it for a reason. A woman's attraction to a man isn't just about looks or charm. It's about how he handles himself under pressure. How you respond to her subtle or not so subtle tests determines whether she respects you, desires you, or loses interest altogether. The problem is, most men fail these tests without even knowing it. They chase harder when she pulls away, over-explain themselves when challenged, or get frustrated when she plays hard to get, and when that happens, attraction fades. But here's the good news. Everything changes once you understand why women test men and how to handle it. Instead of feeling confused or frustrated, you'll stay calm, confident, and in control. Traits that instantly set you apart. In this video, we're breaking down 7 of the most common tests women use, why they do them, and, most importantly, how to pass them every time. Stick around until the end, because mastering this will transform how you handle dating and relationships. Let's get started. 1. The apathy test. One moment she's laughing at your jokes, responding instantly to your messages, and making it evident that she enjoys your presence. Then, out of nowhere, something changes. Her responses become slower, her enthusiasm fades, and she no longer seems as invested in the conversation. She stops initiating, gives one-word replies, or even cancels plans she once seemed excited about. This shift can feel confusing and frustrating, but more often than not, it's intentional. She's watching your reaction, testing whether you will chase her attention or remain unfazed. This is known as the apathy test, a subtle yet deliberate way for a woman to gauge a man's confidence and emotional security. It isn't always conscious on her part, but the principle behind it is simple. Women want to know if a man is secure enough to handle a bit of distance, or if he will crumble at the first sign of emotional withdrawal. When a woman does this, she instinctively checks if your confidence is absolute or only present when she gives you constant validation. Most men fail this test without even realizing it. They panic, wondering if they said something wrong. They send more messages, trying to reignite her interest. They ask directly, "Are you mad at me, or did I do something wrong?" hoping for reassurance. Worse, some men become frustrated and start guilt-tripping her, saying things like, "I thought you liked me, but now you're acting different," which only makes them seem emotionally fragile. But he loses his appeal when a man starts chasing or reacting emotionally. Instead of being the confident, self-assured man she was initially drawn to, he becomes another guy seeking her validation. The attraction she once felt, it disappears. The right way to handle this test is to remain completely unfazed. If she suddenly becomes distant, don't change your behavior. Stay composed, maintain your usual energy, and respond confidently and playfully. A simple teasing remark like, "Oh wow, you just switched gears on me. Is that your secret weapon?" Or, "I get it, you're testing my patience. I'll allow it just this once," lets her know that you see what she's doing, but you aren't affected by it. This does 2 things. First, it signals that you are socially aware enough to recognize the shift in behavior, and second, it shows that you're not emotionally dependent on her validation. Women are drawn to men who remain steady in the face of uncertainty. When she sees that her change in behavior doesn't shake your confidence, it triggers a more profound attraction. She realizes she cannot manipulate your emotions, which makes you more intriguing. The test isn't about making you work harder for her attention. It's about ensuring you are the kind of man who doesn't need to. A woman doesn't want to be the center of a man's world. She wants to be drawn into a world without her. And the man who understands this never needs to chase because he is always pursued. 2. The disqualification test. You're having a great conversation, the energy is flowing, and everything seems to be going well, until suddenly she throws a curveball. "You're not my type," she says, tilting her head slightly as if gauging your reaction. At that moment, many men freeze. Some immediately shift into damage control mode, trying to explain why they are her type, listing their best qualities in a desperate bid to change her mind. Others take it as outright rejection and withdraw, assuming they've already lost. But neither response is the right one. What she's doing isn't necessarily about rejecting you, it's about testing you. Women instinctively throw out statements like this to see how secure you are in yourself. It's a subtle challenge to assess whether you're the kind of man who stands firm in his confidence, or if you crumble at the slightest hint of disapproval. When a woman says, "You're not my type," she asks, "Are you going to seek my validation now, or do you have enough self-assurance to stay unshaken?" The moment you start justifying yourself, explaining why you're a great catch, or even worse, asking why you're not her type, you've already failed the test. These reactions communicate insecurity. They show that you care too much about her opinion, must prove yourself, and are emotionally invested in winning her over. But attraction doesn't work that way. The men who naturally draw women in don't need to convince anyone of their value. It's simply evident in how they carry themselves. The correct way to handle this moment is with light-hearted detachment and playfulness. Instead of taking her words seriously, flip the frame into a joke. If she says, "You're not my type," a confident response might be, "Oh no, our love story ended before it even began. Tragic." Or, with a smirk, "Yeah, I get that a lot. I'm kind of an acquired taste." These responses work because they deflect the statement and reframe the interaction to keep you in control. You're not chasing her approval or reacting emotionally. Instead, you're showing that you're comfortable in yourself, unbothered by her opinion, and even having fun with the moment. This approach works because it communicates something deeper: high status, self-respect, and social intelligence. Women are drawn to men who don't seek validation and hold their own regardless of external feedback. When you remain unaffected, it creates a subtle intrigue. She wonders why you're so composed and not scrambling to win her over like most men. That curiosity shifts the dynamic in your favor. Attraction isn't about proving yourself worthy. It's about embodying value without needing approval. The men who women remember, who they chase, and who they can't stop thinking about, are the ones who don't try too hard. She sees you differently when you react with confidence and playfulness instead of defensiveness. You're no longer just another guy seeking her validation. You're the one man who doesn't need it. And that, more than anything, is what makes you stand out. 3. The leadership test. You're out on a date, and everything is going smoothly until she suddenly questions your choice. "Are you sure this is a good place?" she asks, her tone neutral, but slightly probing. At that moment, you have a choice: stand firm in your decision or waver under the pressure. Most men don't realize that this isn't just a casual question, it's a subtle test. Women instinctively challenge a man's leadership, not to be difficult, but to see if he truly believes in himself. When faced with this moment, many men make the critical mistake of over-explaining. They start justifying why they picked the place, listing reasons or even backtracking entirely. "Well, I thought you'd like it, but if you don't, we can go somewhere else," they say, hoping to accommodate her preferences. But in doing so, they unknowingly fail the test. Why? Because second-guessing signals uncertainty. It suggests that their decisions are easily influenced and seek approval rather than confidently leading. A woman doesn't necessarily care about the restaurant itself. She cares about how you handle the situation. If you change your decision when she applies pressure, it tells her you lack certainty in yourself, and certainty, more than anything, is what draws women in. A confident man doesn't need external validation to stand by his choices. He moves purposefully and trusts his judgment, regardless of how she reacts. So, how do you pass this test? Simple. Own your decision without hesitation. If she questions your choice, respond honestly. "Trust me, you'll love it." Or if she seems skeptical, keep it playful but firm. "We're going. If it's terrible, you get to pick next time." These responses work because they communicate that you are decisive, self-assured, and unshaken by doubt. You're not looking to her for approval. You already know your decision is solid. This doesn't mean being dismissive or refusing to listen to her preferences. It means leading with confidence while staying open to input. Women admire men who can take charge while still making them feel considered. When she tests you, she's not trying to undermine you. She's subconsciously looking for reassurance that you're the kind of man who can handle challenges without losing his footing. Attraction is built on unshakable confidence. Women respect men who trust themselves and stand by their choices. The next time she subtly challenges you, recognize it for what it is, a test of your ability to lead. And instead of wavering, meet it with the quiet certainty that separates leaders from followers. 4. The jealousy trap. You're having a great conversation, everything is flowing smoothly, and then, out of nowhere, she drops a comment about another man. Maybe it's an ex, perhaps a co-worker, or maybe some guy she met at a party. The way she watches you afterward is subtle, but it's there. She's waiting. Not for you to argue or outdo him, but to see how you react. Most men fall into the trap immediately. Their posture stiffens, their tone changes, and suddenly the light-hearted energy disappears. They start comparing, questioning, or worse, trying to prove they're better. That's the mistake. The moment you show jealousy or insecurity, the power shifts. You've confirmed that another man's presence is enough to shake your confidence. And if that's the case, she begins to wonder, why should she be so sure about you if you aren't confident about yourself? The right way to handle this is simple. Stay completely unfazed. If she mentions another man, take it as nothing more than background noise. Respond with humor, keep the energy light, and show her your frame is unshakable. If she says, "This guy at work is always buying me coffee," she smirks and replies, "Poor guy, he has no idea you're in trouble." If she casually says, "My ex used to do that for me," just shrug and joke, "Damn, I hope he survives." These responses do two things. They keep you in control and show that you don't need to compete. Women test for jealousy not because they necessarily want to make you jealous, but because they want to see how solid you are. They are drawn to men who don't react and hold their own regardless of external circumstances. When you respond with relaxed indifference and playful confidence, you send a powerful message. You are secure in yourself, and no other man is a threat. And that's the kind of presence they can't ignore. 5. The playing hard to get test. You're looking forward to seeing her, and then, out of nowhere, she cancels. Maybe she says something came up. Maybe she promises to reschedule but doesn't offer a specific time. Or perhaps she just takes hours, sometimes days, to reply to your texts. For many men, this triggers immediate frustration. They start overthinking, wondering if she's lost interest or if they did something wrong. Some react by trying harder, sending another text asking if everything's okay, or pushing to lock in new plans. But that's precisely the mistake that makes them fail the test. When a woman suddenly becomes distant, cancels plans, or takes forever to respond, it's often not about a genuine lack of interest. It's about seeing how you'll react. She wants to know if you'll chase, if you'll seek her validation, or if you'll remain unshaken. Attraction isn't just about chemistry or shared interests. It's about the subtle power dynamic in how people respond to each other's actions. When you start double texting, over-explaining, or showing frustration, you communicate that you need her more than she needs you. And the moment she senses that imbalance, you lose. The right way to handle this is with absolute indifference. Your response should be calm, confident, and nonchalant when she cancels or takes too long to reply. A simple, "All good, let's catch up when you're free," or "No worries, I've got a packed weekend too," sends a powerful message that you're not waiting on her. You're a man with options, with a life of your own, and you're not emotionally affected by whether or not she follows through. This subtly shifts the dynamic. Suddenly you're not the one chasing, she is. Most women don't want a man who is too available. They don't want someone who immediately prioritizes them over everything else. They're drawn to men who are secure, who don't need constant reassurance, and who maintain their sense of value regardless of external circumstances. Staying composed and refusing to react emotionally creates an aura of confidence that makes you more attractive, not less. It's not about playing games or pretending not to care. It's about genuinely knowing that your worth isn't defined by whether she shows up. A man who truly understands this never needs to chase. He never needs to overcompensate. He simply exists in a way that naturally draws people in. The moment she realizes that you won't run after her, that you won't jump through hoops to earn her attention, is the moment she starts wondering if she's the one who might be losing something valuable. 6. The emotional pressure test. You're in the middle of what seemed like a typical day with her, and suddenly, without warning, her energy shifts. She pulls away, arms crossed, her tone colder than before. Maybe she sighs, looks down, or shakes her head. You ask what's wrong, and instead of answering directly, she says, "You just don't understand me." For most men, this moment is a trap they don't see coming. They panic, scramble for solutions, or desperately try to please her. Some will apologize profusely, even when they don't know what they're apologizing for. Others will become frustrated, demanding to know what's wrong, only to be met with even more emotional resistance. They don't realize this isn't just a moment of moodiness, but a test. Women instinctively test men's emotional resilience. They do this not out of malice, but to gauge a man's strength. She sees weakness if a man is easily shaken, quickly loses control, or becomes desperate for her approval. And deep down, women are not drawn to weakness. They are drawn to men who remain composed no matter what emotions are thrown at them. The way to pass this test is simple, but not always easy. Instead of reacting emotionally, stay calm if she seems upset but won't tell you why. Don't beg for an explanation or try to fix things immediately. Instead, acknowledge her emotions while keeping your frame steady. A confident response might be, "I see something is bothering you. When you're ready to talk, I'm here." Or with a slight smirk, "I'm not a mind reader, but I do want to understand you." These responses show that you care, but also communicate that you won't be manipulated by emotional turbulence. This works because it subtly shifts the power dynamic. Rather than you chasing her approval, she notices your unshakable presence. She realizes you're not like most men who crumble under pressure. You become the steady force she can lean on, rather than someone she can push around. That contrast is powerful. The men who fail this test are the ones who overreact. They either get frustrated and lash out, or become overly accommodating, trying too hard to make her happy. Both responses come from the same place: fear. Fear of losing her, fear of not being enough, fear of not knowing what to do. But the truth is, attraction doesn't grow in fear, it grows in confidence. You become the kind of man she sincerely respects when you prove you can handle her emotions without losing yourself. Women don't expect men to fix every problem. They genuinely want to feel understood and safe in a man's presence. Not because he bends backward to please her, but because he stands firm even when emotions rise. She starts to trust you when she sees that she can't quickly shake you, and trust is the foundation of real attraction. 7. The boundary test. Attraction isn't just about chemistry, it's about respect. A woman may initially be drawn to a man, but that attraction quickly fades if he lacks boundaries. This is why many women test a man's ability to stand firm, consciously or unconsciously. They push, prod, and challenge to see if he genuinely values himself or will bend at the first sign of pressure. It starts subtly. She might ask you to cancel your plans for her at the last minute to see how much control she has over your time. If you agree too quickly, she may interpret it as a sign that your schedule and ultimately your priorities are flexible regarding her demands. Or she may tease you, push your buttons, and see how much you will tolerate without returning. It's not necessarily malicious, it's instinctive. She wants to know if you are the kind of man who leads his own life, or if you can be easily swayed. The key to passing this test isn't aggression or defiance. It's calm, firm self-respect. When she asks you to cancel your plans, a composed response might be, "I like you, but I don't like being forced to change my plans." This shows that while you appreciate her, you also value your commitments. If she playfully pushes you too far, instead of tolerating it in silence, responding with a light but assertive remark like, "I have my limits and I respect them," immediately shifts the dynamic. You aren't lashing out or becoming defensive. You're simply making it clear that you have standards. When you give in too quickly, constantly adjusting to her wants, you unknowingly signal that your time and priorities are less important than hers. This doesn't make her feel more attracted, it makes her feel like she's leading the interaction, and attraction isn't built on a lack of resistance. Women want a solid man, not someone they can easily mold. Many men fail to understand that setting boundaries doesn't push a woman away, it draws her in. A man who respects himself commands more respect from others. When she sees that you are someone who won't be easily controlled, she may initially resist, but deep down she will admire it. She will feel more secure, knowing she's dealing with a man who knows his worth, rather than someone who is simply trying to please. Attraction isn't about being agreeable at all costs. It's about showing without needing to prove that your life is already whole and valuable. The man who respects his time, energy, and principles will always be more desirable than the one who sacrifices them too quickly. And when you stand firm without fear of losing her, she realizes you're the kind of man worth keeping. Women don't test men to be complicated. They test to see if a man can lead, stay composed, and hold his ground under pressure. How you respond determines whether she respects, desires, or dismisses you. The key to passing any test is maintaining confidence, emotional control, and never seeking validation. When you stay unshakable, you naturally earn a woman's respect and attraction, without trying to prove anything. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced these tests in a relationship? How did you handle them? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more insights on relationships, self-improvement, and personal growth. Stay confident and unshakable. I'll see you in the following video.